Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 29th. You have this card that says, take the lead, and this fox spirit that says, think on your feet. Yeah, it's a really good time for fire signs to take the lead on, pretty much anything that they're wanting to do in their lives. So I definitely recommend it. Because you can. That's why. Plus, next year Saturn will move back into Aries, which is going to benefit. Really, it is kind of a benefit to all fire signs. So I would be taking advantage of that energy. Using it to create something, or using it to make a positive change in your life, whatever it is, even if it's just a personal change. And it's a good time for that. The fox spirit, it's funny because, if the Seven of Swords was an animal, it would be a fox for sure. The Seven of Swords is about doing things in a different way, or basically thinking on your feet. I think the Seven of Swords in the tarot gets a bad rap. It's a good card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. And the Seven of Swords is a card that kind of represents doing something in a different way, or doing something in a better way. And so it would be a good week for you to look at all ways of doing everything. You start here in your current general energies with the Four of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Five of Pentacles. It does seem to be like a resting, relaxing week. So, anything you can do to rest more, relax more, heal something in your life, it would be a good week to do that. A lot of people, we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Pluto retrograde is really good for getting to the bottom of any issues that need healing in your life as well. So, and that's popping into my head for you for sure, is that some of you could be working on, anything that could potentially need healing. He's also hoping and praying for a blessing. I actually do feel blessings here. You do have the Tower, but the Tower's coming up in the good stuff. And sometimes the Tower in the area of the good stuff can say that you're experiencing almost like a blessing in disguise. You're avoiding some sort of tower moment, or you're accepting the truth of something very quickly. So it could be a little bit of a blessing in disguise. You have the Page of Wands here. It's like the Seven of Swords. He has these polka dots on his cloak, and polka dots in the tarot represent taking things too seriously, needing to be more playful. The Page of Wands is very playful, enjoys life. He's kind of like the happy-go-lucky energy of the tarot. And so I feel embracing that energy would be a good idea. I also feel like, again, exploring things that you want to get to the bottom of is what's really popping into my head with that Four of Swords. So I think it would be just a great time for you to explore. The Page of Wands, he kind of sets off on a journey because he just feels excited or enthusiastic about it. But that's it. He really doesn't have a good reason for doing anything. He just is excited, right? And sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge because we have responsibilities. We have things to take care of in life. But, he kind of just wants you to be happy-go-lucky, have a good time, and have fun, and focus on fun this week, and that's what I would do. You have the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, I think the stag spirit that says take the lead is talking about the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles, again, fives have very easy solutions in the tarot. The Five of Pentacles can represent feeling left out in the cold, can represent poverty consciousness, things like that. I do feel like the reading is asking you to take control of your finances. So if there is something that you want to do to make more money, or if you have any ideas that could potentially make you more money, I would, start working on those things. Like take the lead, make it happen, right? Same thing like if you want a raise or a promotion, it might be a good week to ask for a raise or a promotion, or to tell people that they have to pay you more money, or whatever the case may be. So, or again, if your boss says no, because people ask me that question all the time, what if my boss says no? I'm like, go look for something else then, right? You don't have to settle. You don't have to stay there and deal with it. You can start looking for something else, right? And so I feel it's kind of asking you to take control, especially financially. With the Four of Swords, you have the World. Yeah, pretty good. Definitely could be some sort of accomplishment coming in for you. The World kind of sometimes says we have to be on top of the world. Whenever I have a card like take the lead, it kind of says to me that wherever it shows up in the reading is saying that you have to be the one to take an action to make this happen. So I would do whatever you can to make yourself feel like you are on top of the world, or to stand out in the world. She's also creating her own world. She has these two wands here. One wand is like the magician's wand. She can create with the law of attraction and her thoughts and her mindset. The other wand is more like just action. She creates through action. So she uses both energies, law of attraction and action together. And I definitely feel that would be a good exercise for you this week. With the Page of Wands, you have the King of Wands. I kind of feel like this is you showing up here, in the reading. I feel you're just showing up in a strong position. King of Wands encourages us to be like more bold, confident, assertive, encourages us to stand out more. The other thing I would say is like visionary ideas. I think something people forget about the King of Wands is he is very visionary. He's almost innovative in some ways. And, I especially say this because we have the Tower at the end here. The Tower could be you quickly making a change in life, showing up in the good stuff. So it's going to be a good thing. We'll see what comes up with it. But you also have this Death card. You have this Death card over here, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And so, this could be like a rapid change that you're making to innovate your life, which obviously looks like a good thing. We'll find out by the end. With the Five of Pentacles, you have the Five of Wands. Yeah, I think everybody feels like this right now, which is basically like the universe. I think, and I say I think because I don't actually know, but I kind of get this feeling. I've just noticed this theme throughout the readings. It's almost like the universe is showing us people who have what we want, but like not in a bad way. It's almost like the universe is like, look, this person over here, they have the things that you want in life. If they can do it, you can do it. And so like the Five of Wands is like competition, right? And so it's like the universe is almost showing us the competition. It's like they don't know as much as you, they're not as smart as you, and so like why aren't you doing this yet? That's the feeling I get from your reading. It's almost like the universe is saying like, hey, you're 10 times smarter than this person, or you have more skills, or you're better equipped to handle this. Like, why aren't you doing it yet? I don't know, Sagittarius. Only you can answer that question. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Falling card. It says loss of control, release, and transition. Page of Wands, we're going to talk about it. You have this Death card. It says letting go, transformation, and rebirth. Yes. I think this Falling card is basically saying, like, it's encouraging you to not try to control things too much with that Page of Wands. Page of Wands is willing to release the outcome. He doesn't even have an outcome. He kind of does. He'll start a journey. He'll be like, I'm going to start this business, or I'm going to date this person. But he just goes on, he just looks at it as fun. He just says, I'm just going to have fun with this. I'm not going to attach an outcome to this, right? And I feel like that is the control that you're releasing here with the Falling card. And, it's like, I always say, many years ago when I was younger, I was working at a cafe, I saw someone get hit by a car, right? And it was like the road, it was very slow road. The person was going very slow, but the person died, and that got hit by the car. And it's like, ever since that happened to me, I was like, you could just be, crossing a not busy road where people drive slow, and boom, you're dead. It's like, what is there to worry about, really? And I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm just laughing at, saying like, what is there to worry about, right? When you really have no control over anything. And, I kind of feel like that's what this is saying. It's like saying, how would you act if you realized that really you have no control? So you might as well enjoy the time you have. And, I kind of feel like that's what this card is saying. You have the Knight of Cups, the Seven of Swords, and the King of Swords. Knight of Cups can be a knight in shining armor, so I feel for a lot of you there could be a knight in shining armor that's coming in for you. You have in your next row, you have this card that says a new romantic cycle begins. So for those of you that you have been getting love more than some of the other signs, except for Gemini, your opposite sign actually. You both keep getting love, so there definitely could be love coming in for you here. You have the King of Swords. We'll talk about it more in a second, but King of Swords can be a little bit hard to read. You have the Seven of Swords. Yeah, being flexible is really what's popping into my head. That's not really what the Seven of Swords represents. The other thing I'm getting here is like doing things slowly or carefully, maybe is a better way to put it. In the After Tarot, which is another deck, I don't know if I have it or not, but I used to have it. And in the After Tarot, he's about to step into a trap on the ground. And the Seven of Swords can sometimes say, like, he's trying to sneak away from this army. He's trying to do something so that he can avoid conflict or war. But it also says you need to do something carefully. Like, you need to look where you're going, right? And I don't really think this is a bad thing or, like, a warning or anything. I just think it's saying, like, if you're building something, might be like something small where you make a mistake. It might not be the big picture things where you create a mistake. And it's not like you're not going to be able to fix any mistakes, but those mistakes are very annoying. I have major ADHD, so it's like all my mistakes. Like I can read an email, I don't know, like 20 times that I've written, and I won't see a mistake in it. I'll hit send, and I'll see all the errors, right, in the email that I just sent. Happens to me all the time. And so the Seven of Swords is like those tiny little annoying mistakes where you're just not paying attention, right? And I kind of get that for you this week, where it's like saying, just take your time, and especially not even with everything, just important things, anything important that you're doing, make sure to go over it again, and make sure to double check what you're doing. You have the King of Swords. I feel like you could be attracting a King of Swords type person. Could be a Gemini. Could be any sign. This is a general reading. But King of Swords can be a little bit hard to read as a person. It's like if you sometimes, it's like it could be situational. It's like if you're working with a person you're trying to flirt with, they might not be flirting back, right? And it's like you're not sure if a person is interested or not. I do feel that for some of you, definitely not all of you, but some of you could be attracting a person like this. I feel like it's situational. Like I said, I feel like if you get this person out of work, then the situation will be different. And maybe you need to approach a person like outside of work, or in a different setting, and I feel things will be different. I also feel the King of Swords is great for, remember what I said on that 5 of Wands, like seeing other people. King of Swords is a card of a mentor, and a mentor is just a person we learn from, right? And I feel it would be a great time for you to learn from the competition, or to study the competition, because your competition could be like a mentor to you, if you are learning from the competition, or if you're studying them, or if you're looking at what they're doing and you're not doing, especially in work or business, I think it would be great for you to do that. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Seven of Swords. Again, Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, but, again, Seven of Swords is a good card. Obviously, if you get a weird feeling on a person, pay attention to that. I would also say that maybe, for those of you that have a specific person in mind, it's like if you're just dancing around it, then, that could be what's causing a little bit of uncertainty here. So it's like maybe the Seven of Swords is asking you to be more direct. I also think that, again, obviously, when we go out and we look for love, it's like if you're looking for that person who has to be the one, you're not going to find them. So I almost feel like this, plus the Page of Wands, is saying, like, if you could just change your mindset a little bit and say, I'm just going to go have fun. I'm not going to, I don't need to marry this person today. I'm just going to see what happens. Then things will probably go better. I feel like that goes for everything, like business as well. Like if you're starting a business or starting a project, if you could just say, I'm just going to see how this goes and have fun. You cannot make this up. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Page of Wands. Exactly what I just said. Whenever this happens, it's like major confirmation in a reading. It's basically the reading saying I meant what I said, right? So I feel the less attachment to outcome you can have, the better your outcome will be at this time, right? Probably because it will change your approach. Again, when we approach things from a position of needing something to work, it never does. Trust me, I banged my head against the wall for like 4.5 years of my life, where I was stuck in my room doing nothing with my life. I was like trying to force things to work. Nothing worked, right? And my mom used to say to me all the time, it's because you're trying to make it work. And it used to piss me right off, Sagittarius. So I'm right there with you, right? But you know what the funny thing is? You know what ended the misery was this channel. I started this channel as a hobby. It's still a hobby to me. It's still just something I do for fun, right? And this is what worked. This is what got me out of that hole. So, again, I'm living proof. Sure, we'll take it. With the King of Swords, you have the Moon and this Judgment card that wanted to come flying out. So the Moon is emotions, right? So, again, maybe you're not sure if a person's interested or if a person likes you, if you're looking for love. Judgment card is good because it is like an answer. So, again, if you've been trying to get answers from a person, or maybe you've been kind of flirting with a person, but they're not really picking up what you're putting down, maybe this week they are, which is great. I would also say that it would be, we are in an emotional time. We have Neptune retrograde. Neptune retrograde is emotional. So, I would keep an eye on your emotions, make sure you're creating positive emotions in your life. Next, in the area of what's coming in, or messages from your future self, you have this card that says a time to give rather than take, and you also have this, a new romantic cycle begins. And yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of true. I think you have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles can be give and take, kind of. And but again, I think this is more if you're building something. I find that spiritual people are too giving in the first place. So if you're here watching this channel, you probably give too much anyway. So I would definitely I don't think this is saying oh, you have to overgive in a connection or something like that. I always tell people to be careful of that, especially spiritual people. But as far as work or business is concerned, the Two of Pentacles does say where you invest is your time, your effort, your attention is important. So, make sure you're giving to things that create balance. This is Libra. This card is the new moon in Libra. And so it would say, if you're giving, make sure you're getting as well. You have the Two of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Three of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles can be juggling, spinning plates, trying to do too much. Like I said, with that Page of Wands, I would be careful of that. Giving too much, trying to do too much. I think authenticity is really important right now. And so, I there's something about this that is telling me, intuitively, that you should speak your mind in a connection as well. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid of saying those things you would maybe be afraid of. Don't be afraid of speaking your mind. If you don't agree with a person, it's sometimes I think people are afraid to say those things where they meet a new person that they're dating and they're afraid to disagree or whatever. And I feel like this is saying actually the person will probably appreciate it. So, it's don't be afraid of being authentic. Definitely popping into my head. I do feel like it's a very busy time for you. Sometimes I tell people to not be too busy with the Two of Pentacles, but and I feel like I said this to you recently as well, Sag. So, it could just be a busy time. And I feel like this is saying, that's fine. Keep being busy. You have the Death card, which you kind of have twice. This deck that I'm using right here isn't necessarily a tarot deck. It's an oracle deck, but the Death card is basically the same thing. So I do feel that you are in a time of change, but it's almost like you are creating a change. Like I said with the King of Wands, I feel like it's a visionary change for your life. Some of you could really be making a full 360 or 180, whatever you want to call it here, where you're taking your life in a completely new direction. If you've been thinking about doing that, then I would. It's maybe you have some crazy ideas for your life, but it could make you very successful. You have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles normally says teamwork makes the dream work. Again, if you are attracting love, I do like the Three of Pentacles for love, because it's usually a person who's serious, who wants to, has a similar vision to you and wants to create something great. It's also great for putting your work on display. And all the fire signs had something about this week. So, clearly it's a good week for fire signs to show their work or to show off or to get more attention. I also get a raise or a promotion here. Again, didn't I say that 2 seconds ago? I feel like you need to ask. If you want a raise or promotion, I would ask for it. If your boss says no, go look for another job, right? Plain and simple, right? And because it's almost sometimes I feel that Five of Pentacles, or you don't have the Six of Pentacles here, but the Six of Pentacles can represent your boss holding back, where you ask, it's imagine you ask your boss for a raise and your boss says no, but then the next day they pull up in a brand new Ferrari, it's they clearly could have given you a raise, right? So, it's that's the energy I get here with the Three of Pentacles. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, Ten of Wands is too much work, but at the same time, the Ten of Wands is very close to accomplishing his goal. He's almost at his home. He planted these wands. I kind of feel like the Two of Pentacles is saying it's okay to be busy if you are getting to a finish line. If you are completing something this week or wrapping something up, and it might just be a good week to do that. With the Death card, you have the Nine of Wands. If you're making a change that you've always wanted, if you're let's say you've always had a dream to make some sort of change or to create some sort of business or to do something with your life, I kind of feel like the Nine of Wands is saying go for it. Whatever the dream is or whatever you've been trying to create, because I feel like it will be very successful for you. So, that's kind of what I get there. It's almost like this is something you've always wanted to do that you're thinking about doing, and I would. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the High Priestess. Yeah, very intuitive time. Again, Neptune retrograde. Even though Neptune is retrograde, it's not like a Mercury retrograde. And so your intuition, Neptune retrograde can heighten your intuition, especially because it's still retrograde in a fellow fire sign, Aries, right? And, that's going to affect you more, even though you're not in Aries, doesn't matter. And, I would be paying attention to any dreams, daydreams, any intuitive hits that you're getting, any of that stuff. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this. Here you go. You have this beautiful engaging card and this feeling the world card. Yes, there's definitely something about the world with that world card saying you're on top of the world, right? But the feeling of the world could say, it's coming up in the good stuff, so you could be feeling good things. That beautiful engaging card, yeah, the reading itself is kind of saying it's time to open your heart. And again, I'm not saying you have to open up to love if you don't want it or something like that, but if you do want it, I would definitely open up. But this could be more you doing more of what you love in your life, and it is an excellent. We are in a heart-based time. It's an excellent time to do that. One thing I always think about is we have Uranus will be retrograde. Uranus is retrograde, but it will be retrograding into Taurus in November. Again, Uranus in Taurus, there is something very heart-based about it, because Uranus in Taurus wants us to create a life of freedom. And so, obviously, if you're doing what your heart wants, then you're probably going to feel more free. And that's it. That's what I would do there. You have the Five of Cups, the Tower, and the Strength card. Five of Cups in the good stuff can say you are being grateful for what you have, and that can lead to better things like this bridge and this castle. He needs to be grateful so that he can get the bridge and the castle. But in the area of the good stuff, it can say that you are turning around. You are seeing what you can be grateful for. And, gratitude is like one of the best energies to manifest from. So you're probably manifesting more. You have the Tower in the good stuff. Tower in the good stuff can say you're avoiding a Tower moment. I don't think you're necessarily avoiding a Tower moment. I feel like you are seeing how a Tower moment that has already happened in your life is a blessing. So, you're probably just seeing the truth. That the Tower is the truth. The Tower, the whole point of the Tower is these people are coming down to reality. They've been ignoring the truth for too long. And so, but obviously, it's going to be a good thing because it's showing up in the good stuff. You have the Strength card. I feel like something is worth it, or you're seeing that something was worth it. The strength can be patience. It can be working on something that takes time, right? Because the Strength card is about having inner strength. It's about taming your inner voice. And, a lot of you maybe have been doing things to tame your inner voice or to, focus on your own strength. And, with the Strength card, I feel this is going to be a good thing for you. And again, you could be seeing that a lot of work that you've been doing is worth it. Here you go. With the Five of Cups, you have the Hangman. Uranus and Gemini, your opposite sign. It is bringing tons of new perspectives into your life. The Hangman is about seeing things from a new perspective. So again, it's almost like you're seeing that something is a blessing that you didn't think was a blessing. You could finally be getting the reward here from, all this work or whatever you did. With the Tower, you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, your hard work is paying off. Basically, we said this, right? It's like maybe, and the other thing here is if you have been working on something that is uncertain, like you're not sure what the outcome is going to be, this would basically say positive outcome. You are getting to the finish line on the card, or you're having your harvest. With the Strength card, you have the Fool. Yep, we start with the World and go to the Fool. In the Major Arcana, we go from the World, or from the Fool to the World, and then we start all over again as the Fool. So it's like you're starting a new journey. Like I said, you're getting to a finish line. This is definitely a finish line reading. You have this Ring card that says a marriage will take place, either romance or business. Yes, love looks really good if you want to get married. Definitely could be attracting marriage potential. I also think there's good stuff for work. I'm cheating a little bit because of your astrology, but Sag, but I would say it really wouldn't surprise me if you've already had to change work this year, 2024. So, it wouldn't surprise me to hear that a bunch of you have already gotten new jobs or had to get a new job or whatever, or started a business, and if you haven't, then you might. So there you go. You have this Valley card that says deep personal strength and peace that assures success. I think you need to create more of this. Page of Wands with that Seven of Swords. It's like we are responsible for, creating our own peace in life. And I would do more things that do have more fun, right? Have practice less attachment to outcome. You have the Skull. It says hidden secrets can harm you. I don't think there are any secrets here. Although it's funny that I said authenticity on that Seven of Swords and that Knight of Cups, right? It's like I would speak your mind. I would just like, those two cards were really saying to me, especially in love, like, don't be afraid of saying those things you would normally not say to a person because you're afraid of scaring them off, right? That's just one example. And, that's basically what I would say. You have this kangaroo. It says unsettled times, need to plan ahead. Obviously, we're in unsettled times. I've been warning people about this since 2016. I've been saying that until 2033 we are in a time of chaos. I have not been wrong. And so it's like, this isn't something to be afraid of. It's just like something to, deal with, basically. So there you go. You have this unicorn. It says use your intuition to make beneficial changes. High Priestess, right? So definitely a good time to trust your intuition. But this looks really good. I forgot to say, make sure to leave a comment down below. Really helps me out. But this is really pretty good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.